My 47 male daughter Stacy, 15F, has one of the two rooms in my house with an ensuite bathroom. It's a largish room with a nice bay window, obviously very nice. I've recently become engaged to my girlfriend of 3 years, Alice, 33F, and her landlord has recently hiked her rent, so we're planning to have her move in with me. She has some kids. She has 2 daughters, 13F, 10F, and 2 sons, 11M, 9 meters. She is also pregnant, with our daughter due in about 5 months. I've made it absolutely clear to my daughter, as a condition of getting her approval on moving my girlfriend in, that she is allowed to keep her room, and she is also allowed to have a full lock on her door. For what it's worth, I also got my son's, 24 meters, blessing to give away his old room, although that's more of a moot point, as he lives with his own girlfriend now. My daughter plans to go to school locally, and I have told her in no uncertain terms that she's welcome to live at home for the rest of my life, and after that she can inherit the house. I bought the house with her mother and paid it off in large part with her mother's life insurance 10 years ago, so it only seems fair. She says she's alright as long as she has her room and her bathroom and she's allowed to put a lock on her door. She has a toaster oven and a mini fridge in there, so I guess she's pretty well set up. Stacy will be giving up a room that she's currently using as a studio/project space. She does art, videos and voiceovers etc., so even her larger room will become a bit more cramped, and she'll definitely need the extra space she has. There will be a bedroom for Alice's girls, Stacy's old project room, and Alice's boys will be getting my son's old room. I'm going to be putting in a finished nursery/bedroom in the basement for our new daughter. Alice thinks that this is unfair. She thinks it was wrong of me to make the decision without her, and she also thinks that she should move her 2 daughters into Stacy's room, and that Stacy should have to move to the smaller room that they'll be getting. The 2 of them already share a smaller room than the one I'm moving them into as it is, so they are getting an upgrade regardless. Alice thinks that it's not fair for Stacy to have a bathroom all day herself and that there won't be enough bathrooms for everyone else. She also disapproves of Stacy being able to lock everyone out. There were other smaller things she didn't like that I agreed to with Stacy, like the fact that she is to be paid for any babysitting, or the fact that my older car, her mom's old car, is hers when she gets her driver's license. We'll have our own bathroom in the master bedroom, and the house has 3 other bathrooms besides, 1 on each floor, 1 near what will be her girls' room, 1 not far from what will be the boys' room, and 1 little basically be directly next to the new finished room. I told Alice that my deal with Stacy is non-negotiable, set in stone, and that it's literally a condition of her even moving in. Alice is upset that Stacy and I both have spaces completely dedicated to ourselves. I have my office, which I need because I work from home and have projects besides, and there aren't a whole lot of other spaces to put people. I told her she can pretty much do what she wants in the living room, but that it is what it is and there's pretty much nothing to be done about it. A bigger house is not an option unless Alice is going to start making a hell of a lot more money and buy her own bigger house. It's already a pretty big house, and housing is expensive. I told her that she's already getting a break by my only expecting her to contribute 15 or 20% to household bills. If we were doing it proportionally, it would be more like 25 to 30%. We keep separate finances, and we've agreed to a prenup. Alice just seems upset that I won't change the setup even though there's no real way to change it, and she's accused me of treating Stacy like a spoiled little princess and letting her be queen of the house. Frankly, my daughter comes first. She's lived here all her life, and I already know it's going to be a big adjustment having all these other kids move in. As much as I love Alice and as much as I want our relationship to work out, if it's a matter of choosing between the 2 of them, then my relationship with Alice is a sacrifice I'm willing to make. I've told her that if she comes into this with wicked stepmother vibes, and that'll be the end of things. She thinks I'm being unreasonable. Update 1. First, to address a few questions that seemed to keep coming up before I lost the ability to read each and every reply, although I'm still trying. My son, 24 male, is my child from a previous relationship before I married my late wife. He has his own provisions in my will, but he's quite aware that the house goes to his sister. My own sister is to become guardian of my daughter if anything should happen to me. I love my sister as dearly as I love anyone, and she and her niece love each other and get along great. I trust her completely if, God forbid, anything should happen. Yes. The basement is an unusual place for a nursery, but I was just trying to make people fit where they could go. The move was supposed to be happening within a month, and Alice's older kids needed rooms now. Meanwhile, the baby isn't going to be born for about 5 months, so she could go into the room that isn't made yet. I honestly figured we could keep a crib in our room for a bit, and after that it's no big deal for a kid to have her room in a finished basement. Also honestly, I didn't want to move my office. It's been where it is forever and I didn't want to move it. I can admit that. We've had the beginning/groundwork of a finished basement since forever, but there was never any reason to really put a move on it. It was a big change to go from having more room than we need with just me and Stacy rattling around in the house to suddenly scrambling for space and to not having enough. It was the obvious spot where an additional bedroom could go, but not a spot where a bedroom is now. Alice and I had talked about marriage and children more or less in the abstract on many occasions, and we both wanted to get married, at some point, if things continued to work out, and I wanted to have more children, although this pregnancy was quite unexpected. It was Alice's pregnancy combined with the rent hike on her place that accelerated the timetable on things. For what it's worth, the rent hike is real. I've seen the paperwork. And I have literally no reason to suspect the baby is not mine. But yes, the only reason why we got engaged so recently is because Alice got pregnant. The only reason why Alice and her kids would be moving in with me so suddenly is because she was likely to need to move somewhere, and I'd obviously like to be responsible for, be near, raise my coming daughter. To me, it made sense for my daughter to live with me. I never wanted to be an absentee/part-time parent or to not have time or share space with my child. The circumstances all made sense, at least until now. I was definitely wary of Alice and paying more attention to her, especially after the many comments that I read. I came to Reddit to get a sanity check on whether or not I was being an asshole about my conditions with Stacy, not to try to actually make any kind of major life or relationship changes. But I didn't want to turn a blind eye either. It was Friday, and Stacy texted me, asking for her allowance. I was with Alice at the time, and I went ahead and let the subject come up. I give Stacy $100 a week. Alice thinks that this is crazy and excessive. She thinks it's improper, and she's brought it up as an example of how she thinks I'm raising Stacy like a spoiled princess. She said as much again when I told her I was sending Stacy her allowance, but this time Alice also asked if her kids would get the same allowance after we get married. I told her that someday our new daughter would probably get an allowance just like Stacy does, but that there was no way I had any plans of shelling out an extra $400 a week for her other kids. Alice got upset. She said that Stacy wastes my money on shoes and makeup. She has previously criticized Stacy for wearing fancy sneakers, high heels, and makeup, and she said that I was showing favoritism and that is a form of abuse. She complained about me letting Stacy buy things with my credit card and store my credit card on her phone when I don't even let Alice do that. She said that whatever money was going to go to the kids should be split evenly amongst them. When I shrugged and told her that that wasn't going to happen and that I wasn't going to cut Stacy's allowance, she snapped at me and said that a man living alone with his daughter and doting on her like I do is creepy and incestuous, and she said you've just replaced your dead wife with your daughter, and you need to stop. That was it. Sure. I've ignored a lot of red flags up till now, but that was it. She started trying to tell me about how it's unhealthy for me to be so close with Stacy and how she didn't want her kids to be neglected, and how she wanted to be treated as an equal if we were getting married, but I interrupted her and I told her that I don't think we should be getting married. I told her that I don't want her moving in and that we were going to need to work something else out. To be perfectly honest, my sister, my brother, and some of my friends have expressed some of the same misgivings about Alice that I've read, although they were generally a lot more gentle about it. I was in love with her. In fact, I'm still in love with her, and I wasn't seeing things clearly. I told her that I would always and definitely make sure that our child had a roof over her head, but that she was going to have to work something out for herself and her kids on her own. Obviously, we had a huge fight. She screamed at me. She called me a heartless bastard. She blamed Stacy for trying to sabotage our relationship. She guilt-tripped me about her cost of living and how I'm in an empty house all by myself. She also guilt-tripped me about the stress on the baby, and I actually do feel bad and worry about that. She eventually broke down crying and told me to leave. In the past 10 years, this was the first relationship with a woman I've had that became serious. I love her, and this hurts. It hurts a hell of a lot. I told Stacy that she didn't have to bother moving her stuff out of the other room, that Alice wasn't coming, and we hugged. She asked if this was her fault, and I told her no. I told her I honestly feel like marrying Alice would have been a mistake even if the two of them could have been best buddies. I always wanted to have a few more kids, and I've missed having a wife, but things don't always happen the way we want. So I'm pretty sure my relationship with Alice is effectively over, even if we're going to be raising a child together for the foreseeable future. My new daughter can have my son's old room whenever we work out whatever custody agreement we end up working out. I'm not sorry to be having another kid, even if I really wish the circumstances could be better. The red flags were always there. I guess it's better that I notice them now instead of even later. Now on to second story. Caught my in-laws using their MLM patch on my sick daughter, and now they're banned from seeing her, causing family drama. I 24 male and my wife 24F recently had our daughter in July. She is the best thing to ever happen to my wife and I, and we couldn't be more thrilled to have our little bundle of joy. She recently got sick while staying with her grandparents, my in-laws, while my wife and I took a trip for work. For context, my in-laws are really big into LifeWave/X39. It's some patch that supposedly helps regrow stem cells by reflecting light rays back into your body, allowing your body to produce more stem cells to fight off diseases and sickness. If you ask me, it sounds like a snake oil and my wife agrees, calling it a pyramid scheme. The only way to get said patches is by spending well over $1,000, and then you're tasked with selling the patches yourself. It's essentially some multi-level marketing product, where the more patches you sell, the more money you make. Falling right in line with my wife's comparison to a pyramid scheme, but MLMs are somehow legal. Now, I've tried doing research on X39, and the only comments I've seen praise said product are brand new accounts never used before or after, or their entire profile is dedicated to shilling out for LifeWave/X39. In my own research, they appear to just be overpriced stickers. They contain no medication, no special UV rays or anything of the sort. They're literally just an overpriced sticker with an air bubble. But my wife and I have made it very clear that we wanted no part in X39, nor did we want our daughter to have it. Even if it's fake, we wanted no part in it, and on the off chance it did something, I didn't want our daughter to be used as their lab rat or guinea pig. Now, before we left our daughter with my in-laws, we provided them with some infant medication, just in case she got sick. Can never be too safe, you know? Well, we returned home from the work trip early because our daughter wasn't getting any better, so we picked her up and went home. We were going to give her a bath, and in the process of taking her jacket off, we found an X39 patch on her arm. Upon finding it, we immediately called her parents and demanded to know why she had a patch on her. Her parents tried saying that it's safe for baby. We even ordered the ones for ages 7 and younger. And that it's practically medication. Their words, which still didn't answer our question. So my wife checked the go bag, and the Motrin we gave them was, while it was used, not used very much at all. Her parents tried claiming that someone else in their group or whatever gave it to their son and they got better in a week. Point is, we didn't buy it, nor did we care. We've made it abundantly clear that we wanted nothing to do with X39 and we didn't want our daughter to be a part of it. They failed to listen. My wife was on the phone with them for over an hour, and while I don't know the exact length the conversation went to, I know it at least ended with her screaming, "Going to see my fucking daughter again, and if you attempt to come to my house we will call the police," before hanging up. That was 3 days ago now, and we've had several missed calls from family members, her parents, her siblings, and even family friends, all saying that we overreacted, and they were just trying to help. Maybe we overreacted, but we wanted nothing to do with that, and despite making it clear, they went against our wishes and did it anyways. And instead of giving my daughter actual medication, they tried to give her some placebo patch. Her parents tried claiming that we're stopping them from seeing their only grandchild over something so small. But we didn't want to hear it. Ida? Update 1. There's been some development on that end, and while I'm confident things will likely end here, I wanted to give a quick update for those who may have been curious. I'm writing this on the toilet at work, so don't mind the rushiness of it all. After my wife essentially cut tied with them and we all received a million phone calls and text messages from family and friends, things quieted down for about a week or two. We started having my sister watch our daughter instead, when we had to work. We haven't had another out of trip town since the initial post, however. Through those couple of weeks we ever really heard anything beyond a couple of supposed shit-talking posts on Facebook bitching about us, but I can't seem to find the posts. We thought things were, hopefully, going to end there, but boy were we wrong. And this is quite the jump from the last post. My wife and I were visited by CPS about 2 weeks ago or so, after they received concerning calls about supposed child abuse and negligence within the household. Of course, nothing like that happened, and the caseworker was very quick to see that. We had asked who reported her, and while she couldn't say, we had a suspicion it was from her parents. We were completely helpful and cooperative with the caseworker, and after she left that night, my wife called her mom up and asked her if she's the one who called CPS. Surprisingly, her mother took full accountability, but, not so surprisingly, tried to spin it around in her favor, claiming that she did it for our own good because our daughter was sick and she wasn't getting any better when she was there, so clearly we were doing something awful as parents. Kids get sick, it happens. But they're also extreme anti-vaxxers. Not just COVID, I mean everything. From even as something as trivial as the flu shot. Yet, they're willing to shill out thousands of dollars for some supposed stem cell regeneration sticker. The fucking hypocrisy and irony in their bullshit is unmatched. My wife didn't really know how to react to that, so she basically told her mom to go fuck herself, and she wants nothing to do with her again. I know I saw a few comments on the last post saying maybe we shouldn't have cut them out entirely, but now I'm starting to question why we didn't cut them out years ago, before our daughter was even a thought in our heads. About a week after the first audit, my mother-in-law showed up to our house on my day off while my wife was at work, and essentially demanded to see our daughter, forcing her way into our home by pushing past my arm. When I told her to get the hell out of my house, she had no business matching in here like that. She essentially told me that I'm unfit to be a parent because I'm depriving my daughter of help she desperately needed because she's clearly a very sick child. My daughter is perfectly healthy right now, and in fact, has had no stiffy nose and no high temperature, nothing. I told my mill straight up that she was batshit insane. I went off on her about how she lied to us, went against our wishes, had the audacity to call and lie to CPS, and then show up at our house unannounced/uninvited, and march herself inside, as well as everything about her X39/life wave bullshit. We argued there for a while, before I finally got so fed up, I told her to leave my house before I call the police. She stormed out of the house, and in true Karen fashion, said this isn't over. Before slamming my door, I immediately called my wife, who was of course, irate. The following morning, we filed a restraining order at the courthouse from her mom and dad, because they're clearly not in their right mindset. The caseworker had to audit us a few more times as per their guidelines over the past 2 weeks, and yesterday was her last day where she informed us that we're doing good and she's sorry for the trouble they caused. We kept her up to speed on the life wave shit, the showing up unannounced and the restraining order, and though she couldn't really take a side, she seemed apologetic. But my wife and I are pretty livid. We started looking at houses in another state to get as far away from her in-laws as possible. Our company has offices out there, so it's entirely possible we could just be transferred, so we're crossing our fingers that all goes well, the restraining order gets filed soon enough. Update 2. Things aren't going to be as juicy in this post as the last two, but some new things have happened, so I'll just jump right in. After my in-laws called CPSO, and us for no discernible reasons other than we forbid them from seeing our daughter, things mostly quieted down. Some of you suggested that we should do more than just get a restraining order, so we bought some security cameras and had them installed all around our property, and our neighbors, who are pretty good friends of ours, was in the loop for the most part, and any time we had to go somewhere, not only did we have video cameras recording every time someone entered our driveway displayed directly on our phones, our neighbors kept us updated too. She stopped coming around for the first few months since she called CPS on us, but just the month before last, as we were preparing to move, my in-laws somehow got word we planned on moving states and attempted to block our driveway as her dad tried blocking the front door. Not sure what their plan was there because we have a back door and an extra side door leading from the kitchen, but I digress. Her mom blocked the driveway, stopping our U-Haul or car from leaving the property, and wouldn't budge, even after we told them we would call the police. They told us they'd move if we told them where we were moving to, but my wife told them that wasn't happening and they had 10 minutes to leave or we'd be calling the police. My neighbor came over during the commotion, but my in-laws still wouldn't budge. My daughter is crying during all of this as my wife is trying to console her, as my neighbor and I are attempting to remove my father-in-law from the doorway, but he wouldn't move. Eventually my wife called the police, and I'm guessing another neighbor called them as well because they responded within mere minutes. My in-laws kept screaming that we were taking their rightful grandchild away and that we'd all be damned to burn in hell for this, but honestly that just made me laugh. The police kept asking them to leave, but they wouldn't. Eventually they were arrested for refusing to leave, and the police were nice enough to call a tow truck for us to be able to back out of the driveway. Lo and behold, as the police were handcuffing my in-laws, they both had on those X39 patches, and even the police questioned them about it. But whatever, what's done is done. We were able to finally leave and on to new adventures. We've been settled in at our new house for the better part of over a month, and we're enjoying it greatly. No word from her in-laws, and they have no idea where we are. We have them blocked, but we'll eventually get messages from unknown numbers or Facebook accounts asking where we moved, but there's no way they're that foolish to believe we'll actually tell them.